You think Henry VIII was just a king with 6 wives. Think again. Behind the portraits and polished crowns was a man falling apart, literally. A ruler so morbidly obese and infected that his own body turned into a disease. His legs, oozing, festering wounds that never healed. His mood, unhinged like a man possessed. His throne, a prison built by fear, rotting flesh, and blood-soaked secrets. They say kings die with dignity. Henry's coffin exploded. This isn't just a story about a king. This is a warning about power, pride, and what happens when a man rules the world, but can't even rule his own body. You've heard of rulers who crushed enemies with armies. But this one? He was crushed by his own body. By the end, he couldn't walk. He couldn't stand. He couldn't even sit without help. He was carried like furniture, moved by ropes, pulleys, and people too afraid to speak up. His legs weren't just swollen. They were rotting, chunks of flesh falling off as he passed, literally leaving a trail of himself on the palace floors. This wasn't a one-time thing. It happened daily. Imagine being a servant whose entire job was following the king, with a cloth, to clean up the royal decay. Doctors were called, sure, but only the ones who promised not to say anything real. Telling the truth about his health? That was treason. So they smiled, bowed, and watched him bleed. His feet were wrapped in thick cloth, not for comfort, but to hide the smell. And let's talk about that smell. Accounts say it was strong enough to clear a room. Some said you could sense it 3 chambers away. Servants held perfumed rags over their faces just to breathe near him. Even those weren't enough sometimes. People vomited. People fainted. People quit. The king never noticed. Or he didn't care. And why would he? He thought his suffering made him powerful. A holy trial. A divine punishment. Proof that he was chosen. In truth, it was his body breaking under the weight of his own greed, his own appetite, his own unchecked decay. By this point, his waist had ballooned beyond 50 inches. His weight, over 400 pounds. In a time when most men barely reached 140. But it wasn't just size. It was wounds. Open, infected, leaking ulcers on both legs. Some deeper than the skin. Some down to the bone. And here's the worst part. They never healed. No matter what they tried, bombs, bandages, herbs, nothing worked. Every day, they opened more. Every day, they stank worse. Every day, they got bigger. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't sit. He couldn't even pray without groaning in pain. And still, they called him chosen. They called him divine. They kissed the hand of a man who couldn't stop leaking pus, because saying otherwise would get you killed. His body was falling apart. But his mind, that went first. People blamed stress, blamed the crown, blamed the pressure of ruling. But the truth was much darker. One accident, one fall, one hit to the head, and the king was never the same. He was out cold for 2 hours. In medieval terms, that's halfway to dead. When he woke up, he was someone else. The charm was gone. The reason was gone. The humanity, long buried. He forgot names. He forgot allies. But he never forgot a grudge. Doctors now think he had a traumatic brain injury, maybe even a seizure disorder. Some say Cushing syndrome. Others say madness, plain and simple. Whatever it was, it changed everything. The kind young king? Gone. What followed was a ruler made of rage. He yelled without warning, screamed at walls, accused shadows of treason. He dreamed of betrayal and executed people because of it. If he imagined you might betray him someday, that was enough. You were gone. He didn't need evidence. He didn't need witnesses. He just needed a feeling. He once killed a man for looking nervous. He killed another for pausing too long after a question. Even family wasn't safe. He turned on his daughters, had spies follow them, accused them of plotting just for whispering behind closed doors. These were children, and he treated them like criminals. Ministers were replaced weekly. Friends vanished overnight. No one stayed in favor for long. Loyalty was irrelevant. History meant nothing. Only fear kept you alive. But fear didn't stop the chaos. It fed it. The more terrified people became, the more paranoid he got. A perfect loop of madness, fueled by silence. He built secret rooms, hired spies to watch his spies, installed peepholes to eavesdrop on meetings he wasn't even in. He trusted no one, not his court, not his blood, not even his own memory. Some nights he didn't sleep. He paced, with knives under his robe, with guards at his door, with crossbows by his bed. You think that sounds dramatic? It was just Tuesday. He was convinced someone would kill him in his sleep. So he stopped sleeping. And the more he stayed awake, the worse it got. He talked to shadows. He accused paintings of spying. He even ordered a tapestry burned because its eyes were watching. His palace became a prison, and he was both warden and inmate. The crown never left his head, but everything else? It was long gone. Everyone remembers the wives. 6 of them. 2 beheaded. 1 died. 1 divorced. 1 survived. But those labels don't tell the full story. They hide what actually happened. Because this wasn't marriage. This was a trap. From the moment they entered the palace, they stopped being women. They became targets. Props. Disposables. He picked them like furniture, changed them like robes, and destroyed them when they didn't match his mood. Taken Bullen. The world remembers her as bold, beautiful, ambitious. Henry remembered her as a threat. He didn't just decide to kill her. He built a case. Out of nothing, he tortured her servants until they confessed. Falsely, he forced a musician to say he slept with her, then executed him, then executed 4 more, including Anne's own brother, and he made her watch. One by one, heads fell, and she stood there, knowing she was next. This wasn't justice. It was performance. When she finally kneeled before the blade, she was calm. She had nothing left to fear. Then came Jane Seymour. The lucky one, they say. She gave him a son, then died from childbirth. Henry called it a tragedy, then remarried 9 days later. 9 days. That's how long it took him to move on. Next was Anne of Cleves. He saw her portrait, liked it, married her, then claimed she looked different in person. He annulled the marriage, called it fake, forced her to agree, and made her thank him for not executing her. Then came Catherine Howard. She was a teenager. He was old, obese, and bleeding. He married her anyway. When rumors came up about her past relationships, he panicked. Not because she cheated, but because he felt embarrassed. So he changed the law. Literally. Made it treason to marry the king without disclosing your sexual history. Then had her executed. Not for adultery, but for memory. He called it betrayal. But really it was pride. She screamed when they dragged her to the block. Begged for mercy. No one listened. And then Catherine Parr, his 6th wife. She outlived him. Barely. But even she was nearly executed. Why? Because she had ideas. She liked books. She argued theology. That was enough. He signed a warrant to have her arrested, then got distracted. She found out, begged, submitted, and lived. But not one of them ever had real power. Not one of them was safe. They smiled in paintings. They died in silence. Divorce wasn't an option. Escape meant death. Resistance meant the same. They lived in rooms covered in velvet and gold, but the locks were still real. You'd think a king's palace would feel grand, majestic, safe. Not this one. This palace felt like a cage, for everyone inside, even the king, because by now, paranoia ran the place. Not policy, not law, not reason. Every room had secrets. Every wall had ears. Every servant had a watcher. Henry didn't trust anyone, so he turned the palace into a fortress. He slept with a crossbow next to his bed, multiple daggers under the pillow, armed guards inside the room, not outside, inside. He believed someone would kill him in his sleep, so he made sure they couldn't. He installed peepholes, not for security, for spying. He wanted to watch people without being seen, wanted to hear them, judge them. He had secret passages built, not for escape during battle, but in case he needed to flee from his own guests. Even his courtiers never knew if they were being watched, because they were. He created an entire spy network, but then he didn't trust them either. So he built another one, to watch the first. Spies spying on spies. No one knew who worked for whom. Say the wrong thing to the wrong person, gone. Even if you didn't say it. If someone said you said it, gone. The Tower of London was never empty. Not because crime was high. Because fear was higher. And it wasn't just outsiders. His own daughters were watched. Princesses. Followed by spies. Accused of treason, for nothing. Children treated like traitors. Sons and daughters held at arm's length. Paranoia wasn't a habit. It was law. Even his meals followed it. Sealed kitchens. Guarded entrances. Food tasters for every dish. Multiple ones. And they had to eat, then wait. 30 minutes. Just to see if they dropped dead. Only then would Henry take a bite. The salt was tested. The spices were tested. Even the water. Every meal was a security operation. Every dinner, a quiet war. And if someone got too close, even just emotionally, they were gone. The closer you were to Henry, the more dangerous it got. He lived behind gold doors, velvet curtains, and thick walls of suspicion. The palace looked beautiful, but inside, it was filled with whispers, knives, and fear. No one ruled. Paranoia did. Henry didn't just live like a king. He ate like one too, and not in a good way. This wasn't luxury. It was obsession, ritual, control. He consumed over 5,000 calories a day. That's more than double what a healthy adult male should eat. And he wasn't exactly active. He could barely walk, couldn't ride, couldn't even climb stairs. But the meals kept coming. Hundreds of dishes. Every day. Just for him. His kitchens had over 200 staff. Around the clock. Working nonstop. Food wasn't fuel. It was theater. It was power. Whole pigs. Roasted swans. Fish stacked in towers. Mountains of bread. Barrels of wine. Each meal lasted hours. Not because of pleasure. Because of ritual. Everything had to be tasted by others first. Not once, but multiple times. Then they had to wait 30 minutes to see if they lived. Only then would Henry eat. He thought someone was always trying to poison him. So he turned dinner into a military drill. And it wasn't just the poison. It was what he thought food could do. He believed certain meats gave him special powers. Swan made him more graceful. Deer made him a better hunter. Oysters made him, let's say, more capable with his wives. So he gorged, day after day, on fantasy foods, on magical thinking, on total denial. He banned common food from his table. No turnips, no barley, nothing peasant level. Even though they were healthier, cheaper, easier to cook. He refused. Not because of taste, because of status. If poor people ate it, he wouldn't. So he ate what looked royal, no matter the consequence. And the consequence? He swelled. He bled. He rotted. But he never stopped eating. Because the ritual mattered more than the reality. He believed his appetite was divine. That his hunger was holy. That he could not be touched, not by food, not by disease. He thought his rank made him immune. It didn't. Every bite brought him closer to the end. And he kept going anyway. Because power, in his mind, meant never having to stop. Even when his body was begging him to. He didn't just eat himself into pain. He ate himself into collapse. By now, couldn't stand without support. Couldn't walk. Had to be wheeled in on platforms. Entire body wrapped in cloth to hide rot. His legs, covered in ulcers. Leaking fluid daily. Smelled so bad, even doctors gagged. The infection never left. It just spread. Every step, pain. Every movement, blood. Servants carried him like cargo. No one looked him in the eyes. The throne room stank. So did the bedchamber. He screamed in sleep. Sometimes in meetings. He was dying. But no one was allowed to say it. When he finally died, the worst part hadn't happened yet. His body wasn't embalmed in time. So it swelled. Split. Leaked. Gas built up inside. The coffin exploded. In public. While people watched. Dogs licked the remains off the floor. Witnesses fainted. Guards pretended it didn't happen. The royal handlers panicked. They tried to cover it with herbs, perfumes, silk. None of it worked. The church smelled like death. So did the halls. So did the throne room for days. And still, the kingdom called him His Majesty. Even in decay, even in disgrace, Because power doesn't vanish when the body does. It rots slower,